Today on the Life Surfing Podcast, vulnerability combined with consciousness.
But you have to understand, only when we are vulnerable, we are also open. Or otherwise, to put it the other way, when we are open, we are also vulnerable. So because of the fear of vulnerability, to hold to some concept and to be blindly settling with that, that is what becomes unhealthy, destructive, unintelligent. We are having to face the challenge of confusion when we are going in life with an openness. It is not that we have everything clear. To be alive means to live with this vulnerability, but combined with consciousness. That means you will start seeing there's nothing which is good always. Things change. For example, certain food is considered good and healthy. But how much of that food is good for you? How much you will eat from that? When you have to say, no, it is no more good, I should not take it. In the same way, giving support to the other is good. But you have to also look what you are really doing. Whom are you supporting? What is the intention in you? And what is the intention in the other? You consider. So it is not everything 100% clear. But the beautiful thing is, when you are looking in yourself, you are considering it. Looking also this feeling of guilt. Okay, guilt feeling comes more from the religious conditioning. But there's something in us, when we are doing something which is unsensible, which is unloving, reminds us, hey, something is not okay. You need to consider more. And if you listen to that and consider more, then you go on correcting yourself. It is not you are saying that I'm absolutely right and I am absolutely 100% wanting it this way. You will be not so fanatic. You will be considering more, ready to make changes, ready to respond. And sometimes you see certain points in the certain given moment, but in a later moment you see other factors which you had not considered or seen. Then you change your decision. You go differently. But you remain honest to yourself. You remain as much as possible present to that what is taking place in you. And this confusion, this insecurity is natural and is part of a healthy development. It is not something wrong. If you have been 100% sure and say, yes, I know this is right and this is how it is, then we are behaving more or less in a robot-like level. It is just a conditioned automatic way of reacting. But when you see that goodness is always to be considered and applied in the moment, looking, take into consideration the different factors. The important thing is that you are considering, you are looking, you are honest with yourself. You don't go blindly. That is the most delicate and decisive factor. Because through that, you become capable of bringing about that what is the best in the moment, that what is best possible for you, that what is creative. And in your considering like that, you are not being trapped in an egocentric, blind reaction. You are considering it, you are looking. You are ready to include other factors which are otherwise not visible when one is just going in a blind way. So go through this uncertainty, go through this confusion as wakefully, remaining honest to the moment, to yourself. Because when you are honest in this sense to yourself, you are ready to face everything what is operating in you in the moment. And this is very, very valuable. So one who is considering in this way will not go into hating anybody, will not go into bind, power and prestige approach, will not indulge in revengefulness, will not provoke fear to control and to suppress the other. That is why bringing consciousness in, considering like that, it is not easy. It is putting oneself in a very fragile and vulnerable situation. But you have to understand, only when we are vulnerable, we are also open, or otherwise, to put it the other way, when we are open, we are also vulnerable. So because of the fear of vulnerability, to hold to some concept and to be blindly settling with that, that is what becomes unhealthy, destructive, unintelligent, and drags us more and more into a state of inner deadness. So be consciously vulnerable, and consciousness is that what gives you the right basis to deal with the challenges, to go flexibly. I use this expression life surfing just because of that. Because the surfer has not taken up a stubborn position. The surfer is very vulnerable. But the person who is surfing is ready to take the challenge, ready to approach. There's a certain trust in nature. There's a certain acceptance of how life comes. The wind can come from one direction or the other direction. The waves can be changing on depending on different factors involved in that moment. But the person is ready. Although the person has no motor of his own to force anything, but he is ready to go flexibly. There's a vulnerability, but there's also presence. So the person goes on adjusting himself to the challenges and going forward in that way. So it is something like that. It is living with conscious vulnerability, which means in the beginning, confronting the fear, confronting the insecurity. But then let me tell you how it develops further. At a certain point, when you see that life is not against you, life is supporting you, the creator is, or the creation, whatever way we refer to the mystery, the creative process, the life process is in many visible and invisible ways supporting. That we should never forget. When we look in our own life and consider how we have been able to go through so many things and somehow are still alive, clear, able to respond to many challenges now. So we have to try to understand life. And understanding life means understanding the polarity. Understanding that birth and death are part of life. Light and darkness exist together. So we have a deeper responsibility as a human being to consider, to understand, rather than just clinging blindly to our idea of how life should be. That is the difference. When we are not clinging to our idea of life, but looking what life is showing, then our response becomes a flow, a creative process. In the Christian background, it comes out in a very deep and delicate way when Jesus was in the most painful process under crucifixion, with all the uncertainty, all the difficulties one can imagine for a human being. At one point, he also was losing his orientation. He started, like every other human being, in our unclarity and weakness, we start asking, oh, God, have you forgotten me? Have you forsaken me? So he said, Father, have you ignored me? Have you forsaken me? After having said that, he considered, and then he realized, no, that's not the right understanding. He got again clear inside. And then his expression changed. His words were different. He said, Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, not my will. It is very delicate. It is very easily to be misunderstood. It is not just with our usual approach of logic and rationality to be put together. But those who consider carefully and go deeper into the understanding of the nature of the reality by facing themselves, facing their reality, inquiring more courageously and honestly, they will come to realize that these are all factors which every human being has to face at different stages of life. We have to face what understanding we have about ourselves. What is our truth? Who are we really? That is why Ramana Maharshi was asking everybody who came with all kind of different problems, ask yourself, who am I? And go into a direct experiential understanding where you don't have any explanations and words, but where you consciously consider all the explanations and words, reject it, because what you are is not an explanation which somebody else has to give you or some words with which you describe. What you are is that what you can experience directly. So he said, use the mind and the knowledge and bring it all into a conscious level. Ask the question, who am I? And all the answers which the mind is providing, look at it, reject it, look at it, reject it. Till the point where, to your question, who am I? The inner automatism has no more anything to provide. When in this way, there comes a state of inner quietness. Be with the quest, but don't hold to anything. Don't hold to any words and concepts. So in this way, you are capable to directly connect and to receive and to experience what life wants to reveal to you, to experience who you really are. So it is consciously reconnecting to our source by becoming inwardly disentangled from the conditioned idea of who we are and what we are. So a point will come where your trust beyond the logical mind will reveal to you a different basis of reality. But we need to continue to go through these periods of unclarity, of confusion, by again and again looking now. What is happening in me now? What is in this moment? And when you understand it, that life energy is always manifesting in this moment. The past is only in your memory. It is past, it is no more. You cannot change the past. And the future is only a projection through your memories and your projections. The present which we normally consider as part of time, in a deeper consideration, in a deeper experiential approach, you see it is not part of time, it is part of timelessness. When you are deeply in the present, you are also not caught up in the calculations of the logical, rational mind, because you are remembering to observe everything. That is why you suddenly realize that there is another dimension of the reality when you are not projecting through your mind. So become aware of it, that the inquiry, the journey for the seeker of truth, for the one who wants to be honest, the one who wants to really allow understanding and love to be their basis, is a challenging process. We have to face many confusions, many insecurities, but always come to the present and be true to yourself. Be ready to face everything what is there in you, and in this way allow a response.
More in moments.
Did you already know that besides the life surfing seminars, workshops, and talks, you can also book individual sessions with Bhashkar directly in person or over Zoom?
For that, please contact Noria under the email address or over the phone 0497617 09665. In case you want to write an email, you find the email address in the podcast description.
The Life Surfing Podcast continues now.
Any other question in anyone? If no question is there in anyone from here or anyone participating from elsewhere, then we take some moments just to be with all what is there in you right now, without trying to change anything, without trying to hold to anything, remaining inwardly wakeful in a non-interfering way, letting all what is there to become as much transparent to yourself as possible. With this orientation of non-interfering presence, with closed eyes, we sit the next 15 minutes.